All right, so it's June, and you know what that means. It's Bear Horseback Jealousy Appreciation Month, or whatever. I don't know what the heck it is. Hey, it's the colorblind architect again, and I'm out on a hike in the beautiful Wasatch Mountains. And unlike the last video that I made, this time I actually remembered to bring my gimbal. And so you may notice the video is a lot more stable today, which is great. Anyways, I'm almost to my turnaround point. I've gone almost about a mile. And I'm wondering, oh, well, I guess according to my watch, 0.01 to go. And here we go. Am I gonna hit 0.01? Yay! I don't have to go up this next steep section, which is fine by me because I've got to get back to work. So I'm gonna start hiking back down. So like I said, it's June, and like many months and days nowadays, you know, the likes of Google, they just make up crap and call stuff National Picnic Day or National Pizza Day or, LGBT Pride Month, you know. So, look, I have nothing against, gay people, whatever, they're going to do their thing. But here's the thing. June was never set aside by any congressional act or state act, no legal means, no vote. There was nothing that made it Pride Month. So why do we all celebrate it? I mean, why do we have all these companies? Why do we have all these companies racing to put the rainbow flag behind their behind their logos on everything for a month that isn't official? It's not like we voted on it. It just, for some reason, all of a sudden everybody was doing it. And I can't help but wonder, was that just Google punking us all? Where they just like, we're just going to call it this and people are just going to accept it. I mean, kind of like Pi Day. I mean, look, I love Pi Day. March 14th, pi, the Greek letter referring to the number 3.141. Oh gosh, we love that number. Why? Because it refers to circles. And what do circles have? Well, there is actual pie, pizza pie, apple pie, cherry pie, banana cream pie, right? We love that, okay? And so in my house, even though it's not really an actual holiday, I mean, like I said, there was no congressional act or anything. But yeah, we celebrate it. Why? Because, well, we like to. So that's kind of like what happened with June. It's essentially what it was. But I would make an argument. Oh, check out. Oh, look at that squirrel. Pretty cool. Yeah, normally you don't get to see them that close. But I'm all alone here in the woods. I was kind of surprised too, because I looked at the parking lot when I got here and it was just jam-packed crowded. And I thought, oh no, I'm gonna be like just surrounded by people. And so I went up this other trail that's a lot less popular. I didn't realize it was gonna be this much less popular. Like literally nobody else on the trail. It's fantastic. I love it. And I'm not telling you which trail because I want to keep this one to myself. Okay, so anyways, I was going to make the point that I actually think June would be actually a better month to celebrate Black History Month. And here's my reasoning. First off, it's not really fair to black people that they get the shortest month. February, come on. It's like a slap in their face. It's like, you know, Asian Pacific people got like May, a 31-day month. And that wasn't even by congressional act. Like, Congress actually voted, I think, on Black History Month. And that was decades ago. And of course, they gave them the short month. Well, so that's one reason. Reason number two is Juneteenth. So Juneteenth, that is a holiday, also called Emancipation Day, that commemorates the day when the Union soldiers rode into Galveston, Texas in 1865 and delivered the Emancipation Proclamation to the black slaves in Texas. And they were supposedly the last group of slaves to be emancipated by the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, history actually shows that that's not entirely true. It looks like there were actually some in other states that weren't released for even further back, but that's okay. They're free now, and so that's good. Anyways, the point is Juneteenth is one of those holidays that really should be celebrated more. In fact, the first Juneteenth celebration was in 1866 or 1867, so basically a year or two after it. And it was, anyways, you might have noticed me cutting to a different point in the trail. I decided to cut off the video where I went off on a tangent that, although I believe what I said, I don't feel that today is the appropriate time to speak that message. And so instead, I'm going to go back to Juneteenth, Emancipation Day. So the celebrations for Juneteenth started maybe 1866, 1867 is what some of the history says. And it was organized by Christian churches in the Galveston area. Shortly after that, it spread across the southern United States and was celebrated by Christian churches and by black people all across the South for many, many decades. And this shouldn't be that much of a surprise, since the abolitionist movement was heavily influenced by Christianity, and it was predominantly Christians who brought about the abolition of slavery. They were the ones who fought for it so fiercely because they knew it was wrong. In the Battle Hymn of the Republic, one of the verses refers to Jesus Christ and says, as he died to make men holy, let us live to make men free. So, it was very much about freedom from slavery. And so, I'd like to say that Emancipation Day, or Juneteenth, June 19th, is a really good reason to make June Black History Month. It's a very special thing for our family. My ancestor, Joseph Clayton, in the as early as the 1830s, as the records that we've been able to find, was the clerk of a Baptist church in southern Georgia. And that particular Baptist church was a known abolitionist church. So to be a member of that church was a very dangerous thing in the South, because it meant that you were going up against the big and powerful moneyed interests. See, the little known fact about the South in the antebellum days is that the vast majority of people did not own slaves. It was an extreme small subset of the wealthy and elite plantation owners that owned slaves. Now, obviously, still wrong. And actually, I think most white people, even if they weren't exactly what you would call non-racist by today's standards, they still didn't like slavery, because the problem with slavery for them was if they owned a farm but they couldn't afford slaves, then that meant the wealthy plantation owners had a huge advantage. So, and let me show you this beautiful view. Just gorgeous. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, I mean, it's just a gorgeous day. Man, I love the Wasatch Mountains. So yeah, I mean, it would have been an unfair economic advantage for the slaveholders. And because they already had money, or they inherited the slaves, they were already the landed elite. So it made it a lot harder for other people to rise, for the poor white people to rise in economic prosperity, let alone the absolutely moral horribleness of slavery as an industry in general. So, yeah, I think June should be Black History Month, and I think we should be celebrating Emancipation Day as a national holiday with big fireworks and just big celebrations, because that really truly was a seminal moment in our nation's history where we shed the dirtiest and most vile part of our past. And, the anti-racists like Robin DiAngelo and, Ibram X. Kendi, these people, they want to try to say that we're still evil because we can never wash that sin away. Well, if we can never wash that sin away, then what would be the point of trying? That's what redemption is for. The whole idea that you can't be redeemed of a sin is just a horrible and dark and awful philosophy. As Christians, we need to, speak out and be honest. Look, there's this thing called redemption, and our nation has been trying to atone for it for years. And I think through turning our hearts back to God, and I think that's how we do it. That's how we atone for it. That's how we rid ourselves of that stain. But also there's the fact that, kids should not be responsible for the sins of their parents. Look, if your parents were reprobates, should you be held liable for that? No, I don't believe so. And so That's what's so dirty about people like Robin DiAngelo and Ibram X. Kendi, who are trying to argue that by the very fact that you're white means that you're guilty of those sins. And it's like, look, like I said, my ancestor, Joseph Clayton, he was opposed to slavery. He was an abolitionist in the antebellum South. So don't give me this crap, you know? Not all white people were pro-slavery. Many of them were abolitionist. And so it's not fair to children in this day and age to make them feel guilty for the sins of their ancestors. Instead, I think we need to understand that humans are a very complex species. And every single one of us has moral ambiguity. Every single one of us has dark and bright parts to us, good and bad parts to us. And I think if we understand that, and if we show forth love to one another, then I think we're going to have a much better chance at ridding ourselves of the hatred that is racism. Anyways, so for my part, I'm going to bid you adieu for another day and say, Happy Emancipation Month. Peace out. All right, real quick. If you like these hiking vlogs, let me know in the comments. And hey, you know, if you are enjoying my content, go ahead, hit subscribe. It's not gonna hurt you, you know? If you don't want the notifications, you don't have to hit the bell. And hey, I'd love to have a like. If you put a dislike, whatever, you know, you're free to do that. But anyways, just thought I'd add. Thanks.